Was some quarter. There were huge concerns coming into this report. Have Nintendo Switch sales peak? Is Nintendo past its prime at this point in the current console cycle? And clearly, they're dismissing all those concerns with this earnings report for the June quarter. Revenue up 50%, net profit up 50%. And two big factors really drove this. First, the Super Mario Bros. Movie. And second, The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, the latest installment of its Zelda series, hotly anticipated game. It's interesting, with Super Mario, it had box office revenues of over $1.3 billion. And Nintendo said it was seeing positive effects as a result across the business. They were seeing a bump in sales of Mario games. As a result, they also said they saw a strong bump in revenue in their IP and mobile-related business. Revenue there up around 190%. And interestingly, they said they're going to continue towards what they called visual content-related initiatives, i.e. potentially movies, TVs, etc. The second point here is The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. Again, hotly anticipated game. It came out in release in May, has already sold more than 18.5 million units, and that drove both software and hardware sales for Nintendo as well. The company's saying that the global sell-through of first-party software, i.e. their own intellectual property, this quarter gone just reached the highest level for a first quarter ever. Since the launch of the Nintendo Switch, and half of that really was driven by the Zelda game as well. Switch sales up 13% to 3.91 million as well, again arresting the sort of recent trend of decline we've seen for Nintendo. So it was a big quarter. My biggest question was, how sustainable is this? This was a sort of an anomaly, really, in what we've seen, say, over the last two quarters, where there have been revenue declines, where there have been a cut in outlook, etc. And so is this just a temporary bump, or will this sort of almost halo effect from Mario and Zelda be able to pull this company through to the rest of its fiscal year?
Right. Arjun, I just want to clarify for the benefit of our viewers, when the initial numbers came out, I by chance said that the numbers were a big mess, but actually, like you pointed out, it's a good beat. Huge on beat. Both the profits as well as revenues. I'm looking at the forecast for the full year, 2023-24, and the group net profit is expected to go down by 21%. So does that worry you, in the sense that right now, like you said, this could be a blip or maybe not, depends on Super Mario as well as The Legend of Zelda, but going forward, do they really have it in them to bounce back in a meaningful way, given what Sony PlayStation is doing right now, and also competition brewing with Microsoft's Xbox?
The key is really how Nintendo leverages one of its biggest, benefits, and that is the massive bank of intellectual property it has. Mario, Zelda, all of these famous characters that Nintendo owns are key to the company's strategy going forward. And it's going to be, I think, predicated on two factors. One, how it uses that IP in terms of movies, merchandise, etc. But two, also the pipeline of games. They've got a new Mario game in the works this year, again trying to leverage the popularity of the film. They've got another Pokemon game on the horizon. So they've got these big franchises as well. And the idea here now is Nintendo saying, well, look, there's a lot of Switch players in the market. I think over 116 million Switch players in the market. So how do we continue to bring out games so they continue to buy them, even if they're not buying the hardware? But that also brings me on to the second point. The Switch has been in the market for more than 6 years now. It's quite old by console terms. And so I think a lot of investors are wondering, is there a refresh on the horizon? So we had the original Switch, then you had the Switch Lite, a handheld version, and an OLED version, a slightly more expensive version of the Nintendo Switch. So there was a note from Jefferies just in the past few weeks suggesting that definitely before the end of 2024 there will be a Switch refresh, and whether that's a shot in the arm. But what the analysts are arguing is that, does it come this fiscal year, which ends next March, or does it come in the following fiscal year? And it's going to be very much dependent on whether Nintendo thinks it needs a boost to meet its goals and its targets that it set out already. Now, judging by this first quarter, it's got a very good start to the fiscal year. And so
maybe
obviously
they delay the launch.
They could delay the launch if we come out in the next quarter and Nintendo continues to see big effects from these games and from Mario. Or then do they reconsider and think, actually, you know what, heading into the all-important holiday season, the back end of this year, perhaps there's need for a brand new console to come to the market, get it out. Absolutely, and that will hopefully carry them through. That's kind of where I think the consideration is, but there's a lot of people who think definitely, at least, there will be a new Switch coming to the fore, particularly as, you know, competition continues to ramp up in the gaming space.